Pretty soon my little MP is a conservative peer.
Yeah. I like how people blindly, forget. They blindly forget the truth of the matter. This is a frivolous football game that means absolutely nothing in the real sense of what life is about. And yet we can all pretend that there's harmony in the world and all the countries are coming together and we're all going to play football and we all love each other. And how much war is happening in the world. And how many people are starving every single day while we pay for an opulent football game that doesn't really need to take place. How many billions have been wasted on the World Cup when people are starving to death? How many children will die on the opening game of the World Cup in the world? So what united front do we have, all these countries coming together? It's a facade, nothing more. It's a game, and we treat life as a game as well. Tell me, justify that. Justify how many children will die today because of starvation when it's not necessary, when billions of pounds have been spent on a World Cup. How many children, let alone, will die in South Africa because of medicines that they can't afford, or starvation because they're a poor third world, second world country, and yet they're hosting the World Cup? How is that an achievement while their people are suffering, and yet they're holding a Western game for rich people because their own people can't even afford to go? Yes, that's brilliant, isn't it? Let's all celebrate the hypocrisy of this all. Let's all be blind and pretend that everything's all okay, and let's forget about the real problems in life, and let's watch 22 men kick a ball around into a fucking net while children die every single day in that country and in the world. And let's waste more money on sporting activities around the world pretending to harmonise each other when secretly the truth is it's far from that. That's what I love about humanity. That's what I love about this time and this age. How, this is what George Orwell would call doublethink, where we can have two conflicting thoughts and yet both can appear to be right. And the fact is, it is true what I'm saying, isn't it? That's the unfortunate thing. I am actually correct. The World Cup costs billions of pounds, and it's not really necessary, is it? I mean, would our lives end if that sporting activity didn't take place? So then should that money then be used to stop all the children that are going to die over the course of the World Cup in South Africa, in Africa, and in the world? Tell me how those children's deaths are helped in any way by some men kicking a ball around a football field. I think anything that they can do, any kind of harmony that they can bring together by playing football with different countries, I don't think anything that can be achieved by pretending to all stand together for 3 weeks or whatever and then going back to our normal lives and forgetting all this is going to help those children, whereas the money that is used to pay, the billions that are used to build all these stadiums in South Africa to host all this, could be used to better them. It is a disgrace that humanity has not dealt with issues of poverty and needless death and starvation and medical things which we have the cures for, and yet we can host World Cups and Olympics and all sorts of other things around the world because they make money. And that's all we're really concerned with, making money and keeping those who are oppressed always oppressed. And we're going to make those who are oppressed feel that they are actually special. We're going to make those who are underprivileged, those who follow the rule of those above, who only want to keep to sit on their throne, we're going to make those people feel that, oh look, here, have a World Cup. Watch this game. Look how lucky you are. Anyway, enjoy the World Cup. I mean, yeah, I enjoy it, and I do like watching it, but I don't like the way that we forget. You know, it seems sick sometimes when you see the way that people who are well off, you know, enjoying the World Cup, and when all these children that are dying, all these people that are dying, and look at, you know, South Africa's history of HIV/AIDS, the worst in the world, and yet they're hosting the World Cup. Well, they need to sort their own people out before they start playing games. But the world has to sort itself out, you know. We have to. I mean, there has to be a time when we stop all this shit. You know, I know we have to keep ourselves happy and entertained, but I think we need to actually stop and actually look at our world and look at what we're doing and see our responsibility to our fellow brothers and sisters. Not see our responsibility to our fellow brothers and sisters by standing on a stage and talking at a football match about it or singing the song about it. No, actually do something. Actually decide that no, we're not going to live like this anymore. We're not going to make money our God. We're going to actually support every human being that's living, to make sure that every human being has food. When we live on a planet that is able to establish 60 billion people, it can feed 60 billion people. How many people do we have on this planet? 6 billion. So what excuse do we have that people starve? We need to start living as humans. Humans means humanity. Humanity means to show some kind of love and kindness. So if we are not actually prepared to do that when we claim to be civilized, then we no longer deserve to be called human. We should be called shit or animal or plague or pestilence, because that's what we are. And David Cameron's talking about the World Cup to bloody soldiers whose job it is to kill people in a war that's lasted 9 years. For what? This world is so fucked up, and yet we think that we're living in the time of enlightenment. We think that we're living with all these joyous things we can just sit down and forget about, and that's why these rich people and countries have things like World Cups and Olympics, to fool us, to make us sit down in front of the television or in front of these games and enjoy, and actually forget about what's really happening, or what's really happening day in, day out. The countless deaths of unnecessary human beings that bleed just like us, that have hearts just like us, and dreams and hopes, and yet they will never realise them, because we've decided that we're going to cut the countries up, and then we're going to let them fade, and we're going to keep power where we want it, and take oil where we want it, and make people buy things that are necessities that God gave us, or if you don't believe that are just as much mine as yours, or anyone's that are on this planet. Who decides that it becomes the ownership of someone else? That's what I can't stand. When will the day come when there will be real justice on this planet? Or is it never, or are we always going to be this greedy and selfish? Because that's what humans are. Yes, there's a few of them that aren't, but look at the way we're living. And we all fool ourselves into thinking it's brilliant, isn't it? It's great. Yeah, right. Anyway, that's my rant.